What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the shop. Today we're back on the flatbed project on the Duramax. So we're gonna attempt to get both driver and passenger boxes fit up on here. They're probably not gonna be fully welded. It's Sunday, I gotta go to work tomorrow. There's a chance of rain, so it means I'm probably gonna have to drive this truck tomorrow. So it's by no means gonna be finished, but I wanna get them on there. I think the passenger side will be pretty straightforward. The driver side's probably gonna be a fight because we have our fuel filler here, right where the box is gonna go. I think the filler is gonna have to get moved somewhere back in here, which means I might have to extend the hose. I don't really have any more hose unless I can just find some laying around somewhere. So I don't know what we're gonna get into there, but it's probably gonna be a mess. I've got the doors done. Like usual, trial and error, figure things out the hard way. The second door is pretty much as perfect as it can possibly be after the whole disaster of the first one. I come up with a different approach, and basically instead of sectioning pieces and sliding the ends in, I cut this little strip off here from both sides of the original door. I then cut off a section of the door. I cut this inner piece out, undid the spot welds on both sides there so I could leave that flange. I cut all of this, cut it in half, sectioned out the middle, and I was able to spot this down, and I actually welded these pieces back in. And I mean, it actually turned out really well. So we have a pretty, I don't really care what the inside looks like, it is what it is. We have a pretty nice, smooth door. Unfortunately, the other side was a total disaster. I have it workable, but I really don't love it. I cut out the inside panel and I tried to hammer and dolly the original, and it was just so warped, and I kept, no matter what I tried to do, I just kept stretching it. I could not get it to shrink back down and like get the bubbles out of it. So at that point I just had to cut my losses, and I cut the latch out. I cut a brand new piece of metal and stitched in here. It's not perfect. This looks pretty well on both sides. We got a little bit of filler gonna be on the welds when I go to paint it. It is what it is. It's better than it could have been. It's fairly straight. It was like a banana. It's straight enough. Had to build a whole new panel on the inside. That one got a little funky warped, but it's a door on a work truck. Like, I don't really care. It needed to be as straight as possible so that it could latch and seal. And it is not perfect, but you can see a little waviness to it. But originally you put a straight edge across here, and there was about a 1-inch gap on both sides. That's how banana shaped it was. So it was a mess. But I think it's good enough to use. It's gonna serve its purpose. I'm gonna put it on. When I get the rest of the bed finished and we go to paint it, I'll just do a skim coat of filler and make it halfway smooth. I mean, this door is by no means perfect, but I don't think it ever was from the factory. But I am gonna keep an eye on Marketplace and eBay and see if every now and then these doors for these old bodies pop up. They're usually the bigger ones. But if I could somehow snatch up one of these, then I will modify it just like this one. And that's an easy fix down the road. I've got both the caps put on, both boxes. I'm not gonna put the doors on yet because I need to make them, well, I need to 3D print the little bushings in here. I've also got to tack weld the little latch on, but I'm not too worried about that right now. My main goal is I want to get this cut out to fit this. We're going to make sure we leave the hole a little bit small because none of these cuts are perfect. But it should be just slice here, slice back this way, which I'm probably just going to slice out this so that the box fits in here. And then we can set it up here and actually kind of trace this seam there. The tricky part is we got, what, 3 pieces of square tube in here. We're only got 2 pieces of square tube we gotta go. That piece of flat bar is not actually welded to anything. So I think we're gonna death wheel the side across here and that way. And then we're probably gonna have to get the Sawzall out and cut our square tube. I don't want to use a torch. This side's not so critical, but that side we got the gas tank, like right here. So we're gonna throw some welding blankets on the cab. And then we're just gonna start cutting and sectioning and just take a little bit at a time until we get it to fit how I want it to fit. This is gonna be one of those situations where you measure like 100 times and cut 2 or 3 times. That makes sense. So we're gonna take a bunch of measurements. We're gonna lay out our lines. And then we're gonna cut narrow, small, and then just kind of massage it to fit, because I don't want to be welding a bunch of gaps. We're welding sheet metal to like 10 gauge or 1/8 inch plate. So welding gaps with that kind of material thickness difference is no fun. So that's my plan for today. Hopefully I can get all that accomplished. It's currently 10 in the morning. So we'll see how this passenger side goes, and if it goes well, then we'll attack the driver side. If it does not go well, then I might just be cruising around town for a few days with a one-sided service body. It is what it is. Some kind of progress is better than no progress, though. That's the goal. A little bit of progress every chance you can. And I want y'all to understand something too. Like, I like to think of myself as a pretty decent fabricator, welder. I mean, I'm by no means the best. I wouldn't even call myself a professional most days, but I feel like I'm pretty decent. This thing kicked my butt. I bet you there is 25 hours in this one door. There's about 2.5 hours in that other door. So it's like, it's one of those things where I sat around and thought about the different ways I could do this for weeks. And this original plan was what I come up with, and I thought it was the best plan, the ideal plan. I thought it was gonna be easy. Boy, was I wrong. I was very humbled in my skill set that I really do not know what I'm doing when it comes to sheet metal. I have enough of an understanding to get me into trouble, and that is the trouble right there. But like anything you do in life, you just got to jump in, figure it out, do the best you absolutely can with what you know and the skills and the tools that you have and your resources. Make it work. Anything can be fixed, patched, repaired. It doesn't always have to be perfect depending on what you're trying to do. Now, if, again, like I said in past videos, if I was building this for somebody, this would never fly. Like, I'm not sure what I would do. I would probably try to figure out how to make some tooling and like remake the door, and that might still be an option if I can't find a used one. I don't know. It's just that's a big headache with the way this thing is fabbed together. But when you're doing things for yourself and you're learning and you're just playing around with whatever, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna learn some hard lessons. You're gonna screw some things up. But it's all about how you move forward and how you keep going. So if you're out there watching these videos and you're like, man, I really wish I could do some of that, but I don't know how to do any of it. Well, I'm here to tell you, sometimes I might make this stuff look easy, but it's not always easy. And I think any fabricator you talk to or any mechanic, like there's lots of days where they don't really know what they're doing and they're kind of figuring it out, because in this type of work, there's so many differences and unique things from job to job that you really don't know what you're getting into until you're in it. So I guess that's my little motivation for today. Just get out there and do something. If you're scared to try it, just try it. I mean, I was kind of scared to cut these doors up, but here we are. I'm really not happy with how it come out. I'm not happy with my skill set that got me this far, but hey, we're learning. I am very happy with the second door, so that's considerable progress. All right, in the meantime, I'm gonna set y'all up on a time lapse and we're just gonna get to cutting and trimming and see where it takes us. It might be dead in the water because I just ran out of cutting wheels. I bought some new ones the other day, ordered them. I guess I wasn't paying attention. I bought 6-inch. I thought this was 10 gauge, but it looks like the wall, the side wall might be 10 gauge or 1/8 inch. This is 3/16. A couple degrees out at the bottom, but might just pull it while I weld everything. You can't really see it, it's just it's a little off right here. It's literally 1 degree. I don't know that I should be worrying about 1 degree, but it looks pretty good. Nice and short. We're gonna have tons of bed space. You can barely see it, but this bead roll is pretty level with the floor. This one's level with the floor, but this roof, I kind of screwed up the roof when I put it on there, but I think it still looks pretty good. I wasn't quite thinking about this little, I put this here just to continue this as kind of like a rain break or whatever, but it's hanging out, so I'll probably radius this. I don't know, might just cut it. Haven't fully decided on that yet, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. I had to drop it down about a 1/2 inch from here because there was going to be a gap right here that I couldn't weld. On the other box, you remember this one, it was corner to corner at the bottom. On the other box, I did leave this lip. So it won't be a problem over there, but again, we're going to make a match, so. But honestly, I think that kind of looks better because it's actually at the bottom of the body. So if anything, I might just put a filler here, or we might put a little piece of tube, like rectangle tube as a little step. Because I'm gonna do some kind of fender probably at some point. But overall, I am very happy with that. It's level front to back with the body. It's level side to side with the bed and the body. So now all we gotta do is weld it out. But I'm kind of thinking we should do the other side and get it to this point, and then we will weld it out. We've got plenty of room back in there. I can get to all my suspension bolts. Ever need to change them out. I'll suck this in when I weld everything, and if it doesn't hold, then I'll just put in another brace a little bit stronger than that flat bar one that was there at one point. It broke off. But I think before we start on the other one, I need to figure out what my plan is for this fuel filler. It shouldn't be a problem kind of working it around and coming over here, but I just don't know that I have enough hose to do that. And I kind of want to take this out, cut this out, and then weld it in. You can see, that's a pretty terrible job there. They cut it out the factory truck. It is kind of ironic that it's red. And they just body filled the heck out of it. So I've got to figure that out. We ended up with a pretty good gap to weld here. I mean, minimal gap. There's one up there at the front, but I can push the wall in here out. It's bowed. So I guess we will start working on that one next. To start cutting. We're going to do this one different because we learned on that side. So instead of making an extra cut here and fitting it, we're going to try to do the whole thing. Got the fuel filler disconnected and out. I've got it folded and zip tied out of the way. I've got rags stuffed in it. And I've also got the other welding blanket on top of the tank just for extra precaution. Let's get to cutting. It's always nice when you can see other people's work and makes you feel better about yours. Like this makes my door look fantastic. This is rough. There was so much filler in that. But I think come in here and cut all these little tack welds, and I can extract that out somewhat cleanly. Not too bad. The other problem we're gonna have is I have no idea what this come off of. This is the factory little thing that goes inside the factory bed. It doesn't quite fit. It does a little bit. So do I gotta decide, do I retrofit this to hold the filler? Do I go cut the filler out of the factory bed?
Two hours later.
Alright, I found this piece of 2-inch tubing that was an exhaust system for something. I'm thinking we can cut this flange off. We can cut this elbow off. That'll allow us to clamp a section of hose from the tank 90 degrees behind the toolbox, and then I think the piece that we cut off will allow us to turn and go over. Sounds good in theory. We're gonna have to get this cleaned up. It's full of soot on the inside. Alright, I'm going to go clean the inside of these tubes off camera. We're going to cut it here, well, on this little extension. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and fill this in here. Seems like the best cleaning method. Paying attention. I was supposed to cut this little straight section off of the 45 here, but I cut it off the 90 that we were going to use. So That puts this a little weird. It's not the end of the world. It'll still work, but it's not as clean looking. Doors in. I 3D printed some little bushes. Inside of here. How long they'll last. I did kind of miss on my cutting up here. I'm not real sure what happened, but we got a pretty big gap there. This one's a little more than I would like, but it's weldable. I'm gonna have to put some kind of filler in there, I think. All right, we're gonna bring the welder back over here and stitch up this a little bit more. Then we'll fit this door. Well, before the camera battery dies, we are done. That's a wrap. I think it turned out pretty well. Still got to finish welding, smooth all that in. Have to figure out something there, but I'm just going to zip tie it for the time being. Overall, I'm real happy with the way it turned out. They're short, they're subtle. I got this bead rolled section a little wonky. It's, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's a little off level, but the box is level. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. See if I can get inside and find something to eat. Maybe start editing this, but you'll probably be seeing this about a week from now. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the progress and maybe you learned something. Yeah, I'll see y'all next time.